Can any good thing come out of Nazareth? That's the question that was asked. Because Nazareth was a bit of a non-entity. Nobody really knew about it. It was a small, very obscure little place. So when God came in Jesus, where did he come to? He didn't come to Athens, the intellectual capital of the world. He didn't come to Rome, which is, of course, then at the height of its imperial grandeur. And initially, he didn't even come to Jerusalem, that had such a long and rich history. He came to a tiny, obscure little village called Nazareth. When we look into Jewish records, we actually discover that in Joshua's account of the cities of Zebulun, he mentions 12 of them. No Nazareth. When we come to look at the writings of Josephus, Josephus mentions the cities of the Galilee, 46 of them. No Nazareth. And when we look at the Mishnah, which is the collection of Jewish tradition, there are 83 cities mentioned. You've guessed it already. No Nazareth. Nazareth is a tiny, obscure place. I think I remember some American friends talking about a little hick town in the boondocks. Well, that's exactly what Nazareth is. Of no fame in itself. It doesn't figure very importantly. But God chose one of the little places on earth to reveal one of the greatest truths that he was going to give us. It's when you walk a village street like this, you not only learn a little bit about the geography and the culture of where Jesus lived, but I think you get a profound insight into what you might call God's modus operandi. How does God work? You see, consistently down through the years, he's chosen the little people and the little places, the Nazareths of this world, because he's not concerned about human glitz or glamour. He's more concerned about his glory. And you know, today, all over the world in little places, little villages deep in the heart of the Ukraine, little villages deep in the heart of Africa and South America, there are God's faithful people going about his work. Oh, they're never going to catch the world's headlines, but they are on the cutting edge of the kingdom of God. Can any good thing come out of Nazareth? My, look at what started in Nazareth, and it's still going on. And as God has chosen little places, another part of his modus operandi, he chooses little people. That's been the consistent methodology of God down through the ages, because he's so concerned with his own glory. And you see, people who haven't a false sense of their own importance and are concerned about him, those are the servants he uses. Naaman's servant girl, an anonymous little servant girl, and yet the story of Naaman would have been impossible without her. That's an interesting story in 2 Kings chapter 5, because remember, not only Naaman's servant girl, but do you remember how Naaman, he would have gone back home a leper. He was so stubborn and so proud. Had it not been for, yes, you've guessed it, his servants. They said, my master, if the prophet had asked you to do something difficult, wouldn't you have done it? See the wisdom that comes from the ordinary people. To this day, believers in Israel are called the Nazrim. They come from Nazareth. And if you look at Acts 24 verse 5, the early believers were called the Nazarenes. God has consistently just used these little people. And of course, that's at the very heart of his whole methodology. Do you remember when Paul was writing to the Corinthians, who could so easily have become overcome by the sophistication, the erudition of the learned Corinthian community? And yet, Paul says, where's the wise man? Where's the scholar? Where's the philosopher of this age? In fact, has not God made foolish the wisdom of this world? For since in the wisdom of God the world through its wisdom didn't know him, God was pleased through the foolishness of what was preached to save those who believe. Brothers, think of what you were when you were called. Not many were wise by human standards. Not many were influential. Not many were of noble birth. But God chose the foolish things of the world to shame the wise. God chose the weak things of the world to shame the strong. Do you know, I'm convinced there's no such thing as an average person. You can't reduce somebody to statistics. Every one of us absolutely unique. And no matter what our background, there's no place too small. No matter who we think we are, there's simply no one too small to fit into God's modus operandi, where he's consistently chosen the little people from the little places to do the most astounding things.